All right, thank you for coming today. I'm attorney Gloria Allred, and I'll be making a brief statement. And then after I speak, Justin Quinn, who is behind me and who is the father of these two beautiful young daughters, is going to speak. And then after that, we're going to have Kylan, and then we're going to have Taylor, his daughters, speak. And Jessica, who is the mom of these beautiful, very intelligent young girls, is going to be here with us to support. And then we'll be happy to answer a few questions. We'll also be doing a little demonstration of exactly what the coach did. So my statement is going to be the letter that I am sending to the Commissioner of Baseball today. And we'll be happy to pass around the statement, please. Okay. All right, ready to begin? Dear Mr. Selig, I represent Justin Quinn, age 33, who recently attended a Giants-Atlanta Braves baseball game with his 9-year-old twin daughters, his wife Jessica, and other relatives on April 23, 2011 at the Giants Stadium in San Francisco, California. Mr. Quinn was in the bleachers with his children at batting practice when he and his family observed Atlanta Braves coach Roger McDowell making some extremely rude and homophobic comments to 3 men who were also in the bleachers. Mr. Quinn heard Coach McDowell say to these men, quote, "Are you guys a homo couple or a threesome?" End quote. Then the coach allegedly grabbed a baseball bat and started shoving the small end through a circle formed by his finger and thumb, simulating sex. The coach then allegedly said, "Are you 3 giving it to each other up the," and he used the word for crude word for rear end, while thrusting his hips forward and backward in a sexual manner. Coach McDowell then put up 3 fingers, pointing at the men, and in response, some individuals in the bleachers shouted, "Oh my God." At that point, Justin shouted, "Hey, there are kids out here." The coach replied, "Kids don't effing belong at the baseball park." End quote. The coach then picked up his bat and started walking in a threatening manner towards Mr. Quinn, saying to him, quote, "How much are your teeth worth?" End quote. The coach came within 5 feet of Justin and his family, placing Justin and his daughters in great fear of what would happen next. Justin, although in fear, managed to calm the coach down, and ultimately the coach left. We are bringing this matter to your attention because we consider Coach McDowell's behavior to be completely unacceptable and outrageous, and we believe that it is important that the Commissioner of Baseball take immediate action to launch an investigation and then take appropriate disciplinary action. Actions that we think are appropriate are that both Coach McDowell and the team should be fined, and Coach McDowell should be ordered to apologize to Mr. Quinn and his family, and to all the fans and to the city of San Francisco for his homophobic, vulgar, and threatening behavior. Finally, we also believe that Coach McDowell should be required to undergo sensitivity training. "Take me out to the ball game" should never mean that fans and their families are forced to endure homophobic slurs, sexually explicit behavior, or threatening conduct, the kind of misconduct displayed by Coach McDowell. We look forward to the Commissioner's response. And now I'd like to present Justin. Before I do, this is the letter that we have prepared and that we are going to send FedEx today to the Commissioner. All right, and now I'd like to present Justin Quinn.
What I heard Coach McDowell say to those three men who were fans was deeply disturbing to me. Those statements were lewd, inappropriate, and undeserved. Even though I am not gay, and these statements were not directed to me, I heard them, I saw them, and so did my 9-year-old daughters. Coach McDowell's statements were very offensive and homophobic. When I go to a baseball game and take my family, I expect a higher standard of conduct from the team and its coaches. Children should not be told that they do not belong at a ballpark. Major League Baseball should not tolerate this kind of disgusting and offensive conduct, and that is why I am speaking out today. I know there was violence previously at Dodger Stadium, and I was concerned about the violence at the Giant Stadium after being threatened by a coach on the field. Baseball should be the all-American game, but unless something is done about this incident, I will be concerned about taking my family to a baseball game again.
Taylor, you gonna go first? Yes. I think I changed my mind. I think I'll have you just sit over there. Okay, thank you. Okay. And this is Taylor Quinn.
I think what Coach McDowell did was really inappropriate. Usually kids look up to Major League players and coaches, and kids should be able to enjoy Major League Baseball games. I think anyone should be able to go to baseball games. It upset me that when I heard Coach McDowell say, kids don't belong at baseball games. I also know that kids worry when a baseball coach threatens to do something to your parents. Well, I know I worry. I think kids should not have to do or hear disgusting things they don't want to hear and see things they don't want to see.
And this is Kylan Quinn.
I would like to say a few words to kids that go to Major League Baseball games. Kids should be allowed to be at baseball games without a coach yelling at them or other people. I think that we should be able to have fun, enjoy the game, hang out, and try to catch fly balls or foul balls. I hope that you never go to a baseball game where you are in a bad situation like I was.
Thank you. Okay. I'm not sure if I gave Mom's name. It's Jessica. Okay. So, all right. We'll be happy to ask questions. But before we do, this is a photo, which we'll leave for everybody to see, of Justin and Kylan and Taylor at the game. I have blurred out the faces of some boys who were there as well.
What's the provenance of the photo?
Pardon me?
Who took the photo?
Oh, Jessica did, and she gives permission for everybody to use it. Okay. All right, and the next photo, which I'll also leave for you to see afterwards, is a photo of Justin speaking to a member of the Giants staff trying to lodge a complaint at the game about Coach McDowell. So that's Justin in the orange shirt, and that's a member of the Giants staff.
What was the response?
I'm going to let him answer that question. That's a good question. Okay, and then also, I think I gave you copies in your packet of the Giants ticket that he had for that day. Okay, we'll give you that. Okay, and then before we do anything further, just I think Justin and I can demonstrate what was done with the baseball bat. Okay, so Justin, you want to come forward here? And why don't you put your fingers up the way he had them? Okay, so then it was like that. It was going like that. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Okay,
Couple more things.
all right. But of course, he was doing it with his other hand.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now, I think Justin, she had a question for you. So you can take that seat about the Giant staff and what their reaction was. Okay.
They were very attentive. They asked questions in regards to being objective and try to get an idea of what happened, and then immediately took response. They had me file officially with their, I believe it would be customer relations or the customer desk, and everybody was very attentive and proceeded to take care of it right away.
Have you heard from the coach at all?
No.
And he also filed a complaint for the police report.
Yes.
Which we have a copy of that, but he can't get a copy until 7 business days after.
Can you go over the whole incident again? I know you read your statement, but give us a little more color about what happened that day. What you guys were, you're having fun with your family, and then what changed the situation?
I think what changed was just something obviously got to him, and I couldn't tell you what that was because there was nothing to me that was abnormal for any type of baseball game, particularly being in the left field bleachers at any baseball stadium during batting practice, where kids and people go to catch.
So this was batting practice?
Yes.
He wasn't being heckled or anything.
Nothing more than I would consider a normal baseball game. Like, hey, player, throw us the ball. Players hit balls out there, and next thing you know, the whole section and kids are yelling, throw us the ball repetitively. So there were 3 gentlemen there, and I can't speak for them.
Have you heard anything from the Braves?
No.
Do we know anything about the 3 gentlemen, who they were, if they have filed a complaint on their own?
No, we have no information about that.
My question earlier was for you to paint the picture for us. Just walk us through you guys were doing what
Sure.
and then what happened.
We were leaning on the outfield fence, just watching batting practice. And we're in left field, so we had mentioned to the kids to pay attention because balls come out here. And at first it was not directed at me. What started the incident, once again, I can't specifically say, other than he turned around and proceeded to go through the events that were described to you in that order. It was
Go over it for us again?
What's that?
Go over it for us again?
Sure. We were leaning on there, and some fans had just, same thing, throw us the ball, and they were actually not talking to him. They were talking to the last player with the last name Ross, which I believe is a backup catcher, and he was not acknowledging the stands like you would expect from a baseball player. And apparently Mr. McDowell had thought that he had heard something that apparently warranted him to do something as a coach, is the way I saw it initially. And after his actions started to unfold, it was almost a shocking moment because I just didn't expect to see that on a baseball field Saturday afternoon. And then I had proceeded to yell out that there are kids here and they're listening. And then he proceeded to turn and then say what you have been told, which is kids don't belong effing out at the ballpark. And then proceeded to turn towards me, as I just gestured. And people at this point were highly upset, not just myself. There were quite a few people, including parents and kids, including my own kids, who were able to see what was happening already. And at that point, he turned completely towards me, grabbed his bat and picked it up and asked me how much my teeth were worth to me. And at that point, he proceeded to come over near me. And as he came, I tried to explain to him, I think I actually understand, why it must be tough to do his job and to go to a baseball park 150 some odd times a year and have people scream at you all the time. But I know in my profession and in anybody's profession, there's just certain things you cannot do. And obviously acknowledging a fan or a heckler in any situation in my mind is just encouraging it. And the baseball player, Ross, the younger person, did what I would expect a baseball player to do and just concentrate on batting practice.
So there was a heckler there.
It's a baseball game.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say heckler, I mean, what
Someone
they
who
were
was
saying
egging him on or
saying
trying to
things
do
that
something.
one
Throw-
normally would expect
Yeah.
fans to say,
Yeah.
nothing more, right? Like
Nothing.
throw us the ball.
Nothing that I would,
Appropriate.
no.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a student. I do environmental research on tsunamis.
And you're Giants fans.
Absolutely.
Do you live in San Francisco or what
No.
city?
I live in Fresno, California.
Do you go to the game often, or was this a special outing for you?
It was a special outing in terms of we usually can only afford to go once a year kind of thing. We've been to Giants games in the past, and we go to lots of AAA baseball games. Both my daughters have played softball. We work with many kids, so baseball is something that's dear to our lives.
How's this changed that year, or has it?
It completely has, because in my mind it took another step even above sports a little bit, particularly having daughters. The example that needs to be set, I think, for everybody is highly important these days, particularly with the events that have been happening in many different aspects. And considering what had happened to a father not too long ago, it definitely, I think most people would say before that, you don't think that would happen either. So giving those instances, seeing a coach come at me with a bat, asking me how much my teeth were worth, at this point I think it's fair to assume you can't assume he wasn't going to do anything or what the actions might be after that.
Did you contact the Braves?
No.
Are you contemplating legal action at this point?
At this point, I would like to start with where we're at. My main concern at this point is the message that needs to be sent to responsible adults or people that are going to be in a circumstance to be influencing young children. Obviously, I know Major League Baseball would like to make sure that their image is kept up in the way they would like, and I feel that they would be happy to hear about this situation and look forward to the chance to clean up their image like they suggest they want to.
Are you seeking damages, or what are you seeking? What are you hoping?
I'm hoping that people realize this can't happen on baseball fields where children are at. Whatever happens from here, then we'll take it each day. But my main concern right now, to not mix any kind of message with anybody, is in regards to how ridiculous that situation seemed to me and my family and many families that were in the bleachers at the times.
What happened after that incident?
After the incident, I was actually immediately approached by many parents who had suggested that I don't let it sit there, because I myself was just kind of standing around a little bit in amazement of the situation. And after a couple fathers specifically had told me, I should go file the report, I should go talk to somebody, that's immediately what I did. I walked up and found an usher who then took me to the nearest desk of an employee who then directed me to the customer relations desk. And then at that point, customer relations took a report and was great. At that point, it was just more probably the process of going down to the field and identifying him in person, and then just making sure that the statements were clear and the events, this is a serious matter for both McDowell, my kids, and myself. And I do feel it's fair that in most cases he's not typically judged. Let the people decide for themselves. There were far too many people in the stands, far too many people around for this not to be clear what he did. In my mind, there is no gray area for anybody to have any type of misconception about how wrong this was.
So you actually, when you went back, he was still there?
He by the time the process had gone, that I'd filed the complaint and been taken down to identify, it was just prior to the start of the game, and he was down in, I believe he's the pitching coach, he was down in the bullpen kind of doing the pitching coach thing, just getting his guy ready.
And you just kind of said, yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
You think he should be fired?
I think that depends on the policies of, one, what baseball has, and two, what it is most people think should happen. That's my point in this message, is that if there's anybody in my mind who believes that his actions don't call for something, then we have problems. I mean, that is Major League Baseball. Take me out to the ballpark, Easter Saturday, families everywhere, and I don't fathom that from anybody.
This was just last Saturday.
Last Saturday.
Did you hear back from the team yet?
No. Or not to my knowledge.
Did any other parents or people who were there file complaints, and are you going to be turning to them for assistance?
I would hope. There were two gentlemen who specifically had had somewhat even offered to exchange information. But I think those two fathers, because I believe their children were somewhat close to the situation, because parents were coming down from the stands to get their kids. I mean, they could see this from up, obviously wherever the parents were. And the parents had said, about exchanging information or going to get the police. So at that point, my main priority was to let people who handle that type of stuff handle it.
Did you stay on for the game, or what happened after that?
Myself, I can't really tell you the exact time. I want to say by the time I was asked to identify the player, then to go down and fill out the police report, I want to say it was roughly about the 8th inning before I returned to my seats. Actually, as I was walking back, I thought the Giants must be getting pummeled because everybody was leaving. And at that point, when I sat down, my wife had informed me that I had just missed the game, basically.
But your kids stayed, right?
Yes.
The police report, the complaint is for assault, for battery, for...
Or did you just describe what happened?
I described what happened.
So they didn't put a charge on there?
Or not to my knowledge.
And we have a copy of that as well.
And are
That
you
what he filed.
Giants fan?
Born and raised.
And you live in Fresno, you said?
Yes.
How your daughters reacted? Was you crying, or your wife?
I know for me, because my focus was on the gentleman coming at me, and I got twins. One of them, they both were in panic. If any parent's in that situation where you just hear a little bit of chaos, your senses, I guess, rise and also kind of dull out in some second of just hearing. I could hear my daughter's voices saying, "No, stop, let's go, let's," they could get it, and they're 9, what was going on.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you for coming, and we're very proud of these young women, especially, that they wanted to speak out today, because they said they'd like to. Okay.
Would your kids like to say anything more?
Is there anything more you want to say? Anything? Okay.
And I'd just like to thank Miss Allred for helping us. She's been excellent, and without her, I know we wouldn't be able to be working on this issue.
Thank you. Okay. So, all right.
Oh, just one more thing. Your age and your wife's age?
33 both.
And I'm sorry, what was your profession again? I apologize.
I'm environmental researcher, student,
At Fresno?
Fresno State.
And would you like to say you're a secretary?
I'm a secretary in a high school, and have just recently stepped down from coaching girls volleyball, and so I've been involved in coaching quite a bit in my life. So I'm very proud of them to stand up for what should be right as a coach.
Just I have one more question, if you bear with me.
Sure.
Does this turn you off either to the Giants, to baseball? Does it make you think differently about going to any sports event?
Do you want to sit down and say that?
Sure. I think it adds a dimension of something to consider, especially because for myself, when I go to a ballpark, that's just the absolute last place I would expect something along those lines to happen. I mean, that's kind of where my thoughts have really been struggling to deal with this, is because I got to imagine what happened with the gentleman in LA. It's kind of the same thing. If you look at it after the event, it's easy to say it could happen. And in this instance, it could have went a number of ways. And I did my best to even try to explain to him, as he was right up at me, that it's a baseball stadium. I do understand some of the aspects of what it must be tough about doing their job. And he told me that I would need to go handle it.
And as far as you can tell, there was no particular thing that set the guy off, nothing that was really ragging on him, nobody...
Not that I could... No. I would say normal.
Yeah. Let me say,
Yes, ma'am.
we don't know what was said to him, but whatever was said to the coach does not justify what he said, does not justify what he did. There is absolutely never any justification for homophobic slurs and sexual innuendo about what gay people do in their intimate or and romantic relationships. So it was 100% unjustified as far as we're concerned. And of course, his actions in approaching in what Justin felt was a threatening manner, approaching Justin and his family in that way and saying what he said, completely unjustified. I'm very proud of Justin that he did speak out, because coaches need to know that that kind of conduct is unacceptable. It's not going to be tolerated by fans or anybody else. And now we're hoping and expecting that it's not going to be tolerated by the Commissioner of Baseball. Okay, thank you. And I'll show you the pictures. I'll be back in. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. All right, thanks. So here are the photos.
You said you had
Yeah.
Much for the tickets.